All right, Samori Benjamin here with Minnesota Twins coach Tony Diaz. Tony, thank you for joining me. Nice meeting you, and welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, and so you're from the Dominican Republic, and country where there's great baseball, and I definitely have a lot of appreciation and admiration for the Dominican community and the baseball played there. Where I grew up here in New York, a lot of Dominicans right on the border of Harlem and Washington Heights. So definitely, like I said, admire the passion you all have. Growing up in the Dominican Republic, how was it for you just playing baseball and learning the game?
Well, I fell in love with the game since I can remember. My mom said that when I was about 3 years old, I never wanted a gun or a truck. All I wanted was a ball, regardless of the shape or how it was a ball that I wanted. So I guess I was born with that love for the game, and then being born in the DR and having it all around me, that only enhanced my love.
Yeah. Really quickly, because I was talking with Manny Actor, and he told me how when he was a kid, he's older than you by about a generation, and he said that he was a big basketball fan growing up, and he knew he was good friends with Tito Horford, and they were big basketball fans. So were you a basketball fan growing up?
Not much of a basketball fan, to be honest with you.
Okay, got you. All right, so on the baseball, did you have some ball players growing up who were visible to you, who you looked up to that you can remember?
Well, growing up in my neighborhood, there's a guy that I looked up to a lot, and he actually lives here now in New York. His name is Pedro Moncion. He played for the Seattle Mariners in the minor leagues, and he gave me a glove. He brought a glove to me when he came back home, and that really marked me. That really impacted me, and I'll be eternally grateful because when he brought me that, it was a Wilson glove. It was used, but a professional ball player gave me a glove, and that really impacted me.
What do you remember the competition being like amongst your peers and kids in your age group growing up?
It was more back then. Growing up, it was we played more little league, more like traditional baseball, as you see now in the States. And then it was competitive because I remember that when I might have been like 10, the head coach would tell us as a group, hey, like none of you in here in this group, if you're afraid of the baseball, you won't make it. Right. Straight up, I was like 9, 10 maybe. But he said if anybody that is afraid of the ball is not gonna have a chance in this game. So if you're afraid, they're the gate. And that really also that hit me even at that age. It's like he spoke reality. I know that some people want to like candy coat it and stuff like that, but it was reality.
Besides Pedro, who you just mentioned, did you have any other favorite players growing up?
Yeah, I did. Tony Fernandez. I know I was Roberto Alomar. They were infielders.
Yes.
We played with the Blue Jays together.
Yep.
I remember that also. I looked up to Rafi Belliart because I was undersized, so I'm like, if he made it, he's like 5'6". There's a chance for me. And then, but it was mainly Latino players. I know even Ozzie Guillen, watching him, I'm like, oh, Joey Cora.
Yeah, Joey Cora. Yeah. Definitely. Joey Cora, I remember him playing the Yankees and all that with Seattle, and then before that with the White Sox. And you mentioned Tony Fernandez and Roberto Alomar playing together with Toronto. It's funny because before that, they were traded for each other because Roberto and Joe Carter were with San Diego. They got traded to Toronto at first for Tony Fernandez and Fred McGriff. And then Tony Fernandez ended up back with Toronto, and he played with Roberto. They won a World Series together and all that. Yeah. So, all right. So, so in high school, eventually I know you ended up moving over to the States to play baseball. So, and I know you played for Manny Mota, right? He was a coach of yours.
Yep.
So, how did you get involved with Manny Mota, and what was that like?
Well, getting to the Manny Mota little league baseball there, it was probably life-changing for me. I didn't know at the time, but it was. Because Manny Mota encouraged us to go to school. Not only play, but you say your education is really important. And there's one quote that he said that impacted my life, and I remember that in baseball you can win, you can lose, but with education you can always win. And then he also had the connections to get scholarship to come over to the States. And that's how I ended up getting a scholarship and came over to Gulf Coast Community College in Panama City, Florida. His biggest connection was Don Otterman, rest in peace, who was sponsoring Latino athletes through his foundation, which was the Latin American Educational Fund.
Okay, very cool. Now, in Dominican Republic, there are a lot of players who get signed internationally out of there. So, when you were coming up, did you see any of your peers or friends get signed out of the Dominican Republic to a major league team?
I had quite a few friends that got signed, yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not from that group, that got signed there, and they didn't make it. And then, but Placido Polanco, he and I played together in the Manny Mota League, and he came over with a scholarship. He was part of my inspiration too, because he came over a year before I did, and said, "Oh, Placido is going to school,"
right?
And he ended up having a great major league career, actually, getting drafted and all that.
Now, when you first came over to the U.S., you were in Florida, right?
Yeah.
You went to community college in Florida first, right? And then you went to Florida Gulf Coast?
Florida International. Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay,
and then Florida International.
Right. Which school did Placido go to?
Miami-Dade.
Okay. So, how was it for you, coming over first and just playing college ball, first community college, and then going to Florida International?
It was a big transition because obviously the language barrier and the cultural barriers, but I was in a mission. I remember that I told Manny Mota, I told Don Otterman, I said, I promise you can count on this. I'm gonna give my best effort in everything I do, and I will not let you down when it comes to that. And that was my parents too. There's no way that I was gonna go back with my tail in between my legs saying that I came here to mess around. I didn't take advantage of a scholarship. I didn't, playing well, it was kind of like a requirement too, because you know how scholarships go. But as far as the effort was concerned, I was always 120% because of the promise I made to Manny, to Don Otterman, to my parents, but most importantly to myself.
Right. And you graduated, right?
Yeah.
Now, before I get to that, just what was it like just playing baseball in that conference?
It's different than in the DR. It's more based on it's just talent. You come play college ball, it's more strategy. See, it's about winning games. It's actual winning matters.
Right.
So that kind of changed a little bit in the fact that getting the runner over, playing fundamentally sound baseball, not only showcasing your tools, but you're here to win. So that was the biggest difference.
Okay, now, and how did it feel to be able to graduate and get your degree, and you came here and you completed the mission?
Well, the thing is that the words that Manny Mota said when I was 11, they became actual reality, because I got drafted by the Angels and I got hurt right away after my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
4 screws in my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm faced okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but to having the education as a backup, you always win.
Right.
It allowed me the opportunity to okay, I can still go to school, graduate.
Yeah.
And then, Tom Kochman drafted me, and he and I developed a great relationship. He ended up being also a great mentor of mine once I started coaching. But that's how it came full circle. That, in education and the people that you come across, you can always win.
And so you're drafted by the Angels, and then you get hurt. So then you stop playing the game, and it was a few years before you got into coaching, right?
Yeah.
So what were you doing between the time that you stopped playing and coaching?
No, I ended up graduating, and then literally a year later, 2 years later, I tried to do independent ball, because I felt that, let me see if I could try for the Atlantic League.
Okay.
And that did not work out. And then all of a sudden, I got a really good friend of mine who said, I think you could be a great coach. And I hadn't thought of being a coach. So, I got my marketing degree, maybe I could just start my career in marketing and have a normal life.
Yeah.
And he said, I think you could be a great coach. And then Tom Kochman again reinforced that. He said, Tony, I think you could be awesome as a coach. You care, you love the game, And he said, "You're bilingual." And then Michael Hill, who was the Rockies farm director at the time.
Yeah.
Michael Hill was looking for a bilingual hitting coach in rookie ball. And out of the blue, he called me. He said, "I heard great things about you. The job is yours if you want it."
Nice.
And I thought that he was pulling my leg.
Right.
But then once, obviously, it was for real. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I remember telling him, "Just put me on the plane and we'll talk contract when I get to Arizona."
Do you remember around what year that was?
2000.
Oh, 2000. Okay, so 2000 when you first got into the Rockies organization?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how was that experience? Because you were in the organization for many years, right?
Yep,
so
17 years.
17 years with them. That was before you got to be on the coaching staff with the Rockies, right?
17 years in the minor leagues and then the last 2 in the big leagues. So
Right.
19 years total.
Right. So what was the experience like those 17 years in the minor league, part of that grind?
I had tremendous mentors along the way. I don't think nobody can make it alone. So PJ Carey was a manager in rookie ball, rest in peace also, but he allowed me to be myself. He said, just as long as you keep the players' best interests at heart, which usually lined up with the organization's best interest, to make the players better, just be you, coach. So that was a great freedom that he gave me as a young coach. Just go ahead and you don't have to look over my shoulder. And then Rolando Fernandez, the international operations director with the Rockies, he became a great mentor of mine, and I ended up going, since I started, I ended up going to the Dominican Instructional League every year. So I did the U.S. Instructs, and then after the U.S. Instruct in Arizona, I would go to the DR Instructs.
Oh, wow.
So I look back, and it was just, I got a lot of reps. I ended up getting more reps than the normal coach.
Yes.
And then I kept on saying I didn't have any aspirations of being a big league coach, to be honest with you. I just wanted to be good and make a difference with the players that I had, and sharing their dream and connecting with the players at a personal level, and really just caring for the players. And I guess 17 years later, the call came, and I got to the big leagues.
So what did that moment feel like? 17 years, you put in all that time. Finally, now you get the call. It could have been something that you were not expecting, but you get the call to be on the coaching staff with the Rockies. So what do you remember about that?
Well, again, prior to that, I was blessed to manage in the Arizona Fall League.
Nice.
In 16.
Okay.
And then that all season, when Jeff Bridage, the former GM, and Zach Wilson were running the organization, Buddy Black came on board, and Buddy Black spoke with me. He asked me if I felt that I wanted to join the staff. Obviously, it was all word of mouth that he heard about me, and obviously the one thing too that helped me a ton was the fact that a lot of the players that were in the big leagues I already had in rookie ball in the minor leagues, instructional leagues. So there was a relationship aspect, and I was more than humble and honored to get promoted to the big leagues and as a first base coach. And I guess that 8 years later, here I am.
Right, yeah. Shout out to Bud Black. He gave you opportunity. That's really cool. So, what do you remember? So you were with the Rockies on their big league coaching staff for 2 years, and then you've been with Minnesota here. So, what has that been like, and how's that experience been?
Well, leaving the Rockies was hard too. That's all I knew.
Right.
And the Twins called for the third base coach position.
Okay.
So, Todd Levine, the GM of the Twins, we had met each other when he was with the Rockies for a little bit, but we had lost touch. It wasn't like we were in contact. And then Rocco Baldelli came on board, and I didn't know Rocco either, but he was close with Corey Dickerson, who was an original Rocky, whom I managed in the minor leagues, and he told Rocco that if he was thinking about a Latino coach for the third base coach position, that I didn't need to get an interview, that I was the guy. And that's how Rocco and I connected, because of Corey Dickerson.
Right.
And then I came over, and been a tremendous experience. Obviously, the Twins, great people, progressive organization when it comes to the technology aspect of the game. And then just getting to work with different people from different backgrounds, you just grow as a baseball person. Because again, the Rockies set the foundation. I had lifelong friends and brothers in there and sisters. But all I knew was Rockies baseball, and then coming over and gaining this different perspectives, different people, it was just a lot of growth for me.
Nice. Okay, couple more for you. As a player, who's the most talented player that you played with?
The most talented player that I played with, I gotta say, was Placido Polanco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And a tough one for you. I don't want anybody to get mad at you, but as a coach, the most talented player that you've had a chance to coach?
The most talented player, Carlos Correa.
Carlos Correa. Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
even though I had Nolan Arenado and the talent, pure talent, Carlos Correa.
Nice. Okay. Nice. And okay, so earlier you commented on my hat, hip hop 50 and all that. So, are you a hip hop fan?
I like hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have maybe a favorite artist or favorite songs or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, 50 Cent came to mind.
50 Cent. Okay.
Yeah,
No
but
doubt.
I like old hip hop. Really
Cool.
from West Coast, East Coast.
Yeah. 50 Cent actually, he came to a Met game a few years ago. Threw out a first pitch. It was a disaster, but it's all good though. He's an outstanding rapper. Okay. Yeah. And so Tony Diaz, I really appreciate you. So folks, Minnesota Twins coach. Which position are you coaching?
I'm the infield coach and also assistant bench coach.
There you have it. All right, Tony, longtime baseball man, has been in Major League Baseball organizations for almost 25 years now at Minnesota. And Tony, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. All right, folks, we're back.
Good.